Hello, my name is Ian, and I might not know who you are, but I love you. You could be any one of my 7 billion roommates here on Earth. I love you. And I'm wishing for your life to become overflowing with the things that makes it easiest for you to love it. That's why I've created AbundanceForPeace.com. It's the culmination of my life. I've spent years of my life traveling, learning, and working for the benefit of all of us. If any of the information, resources that I offer freely helps you enrich your life or enrich society, helps you love your life more, then I feel more satisfied than I've ever felt in my life. Now, if you're like me, then you remember that before you thought you knew anything, you didn't think you knew anything. And since before every thought, every recognition, there's been a lack of that thought, there's no conceivable way to know anything for sure. Thinking that you know anything is an illusion. No matter how strongly you think or feel that something is the way it is, it doesn't change where that thought came from. Now from there, I'm filled with love that I even seem to be. And from there, I guess good and evil are in the eyes of the beholder. I could potentially call any part of my life, any state of existence, good. But in my life experience, I've noticed that sometimes the best I can do is think that something is good, but not really feel like it is. I've been spending my life thinking meticulously about the external influences and the internal values that motivate me so that I can make sure that I'm being the kind of person that I want to be. If you've been observing society as it seems to be, then maybe you've noticed some of the same patterns. I've noticed that a lot of people will start acting a certain way because other people are already acting that way. I guess they assume that those other people have a good reason for acting that way, but a lot of the time those other people are thinking the same thing about everybody else. Those individuals thought about that behavior for their own benefit. A lot of the time, probably most of the time, they would realize that it's not actually what they want to be doing. For a behavior to be good, it has to be good on its own, not just because a lot of people are behaving that way. Social momentum is the label that I use to describe the force of influence that groups of people doing something have on other people to make them want to do whatever that is, even though there's no good reason. These people can make it seem like this is more important than life itself, but what part of life could be more important than all of life? Social momentum can spill from generation to generation, resulting in people doing the same things that their great-great-great-great-grandparents were doing, even though the world was totally different then. People should only be doing things that are good things to be doing. If a lot of people are doing something, it's only good, it's a good thing to be doing. Now, like I always say, the closest I come to knowing anything for certain is knowing that I can't know anything for certain. From there, I'm filled with love that I seem to be at all, and from there, I guess good and bad are labels that I can apply to any part of my life. And I do my best to love everything as much as I possibly can, and I'm really good at that, but I will give you 3 examples of things that I find almost impossible to accept. 1. For no reason besides social momentum, our roommates on Earth are rapidly destroying the quality of life for us and all of society's potential. 2. For that same unjustifiable reason, social momentum, we are even more rapidly destroying the possibility of our life on this earth. And 3, because of social momentum, people value social momentum more than they value having actual reasons for doing things, for accepting things. So that has resulted in it being socially unacceptable to talk about the solutions to society's problems. It seems like people would rather just let them go on unchecked, not think about them. Why are we letting so many other people make our lives more difficult and less rewarding in so many ways? Because other people are doing it, I guess. This is really easy to see if you know how to look. Just pay attention to what people are doing and try and figure out if they have a good reason to be doing it. If it seems like people are only doing something because they've been around other people who are doing it, see if those people had a good reason to start doing that. And don't forget to check the things that influence most people, like our money systems, our mass media, and our laws. Now, I've reluctantly been observing life in this way for my whole life, and as my perspective has moved through time, I've seen more and more terrible things being done for terrible reasons. Most of the people who are doing them don't even realize that they're doing it for somebody else's benefit, or nobody's benefit. I'll be blunt. We should be creating abundance everywhere, not using it up. When people have more than enough of the things that they need and they want, they'll almost never create negativity for themselves or anyone else. All of these religious, holy, drug wars that are happening in the world right now, when you actually look at them, what's actually going on is those are people who have reverted to animalistic violence because they don't have enough of the things they need to survive. They've had their food and their water taken away from them. This is actually because of a trend which I've noticed, which is even more prevalent than social momentum. And it's essentially this. If something doesn't seem good, then somebody's profiting at the expense of others. This new explosion of violence in Mexico, it isn't, a small part of it might be, but it isn't because of drugs. It's because their water has been taken away by companies. I mean, if it doesn't make sense, it makes money. The water in the soda at the vending machine in the elementary school had to come from somewhere, right? It's not even individuals that are responsible. These companies, these media companies, these water companies, you name it. Decisions are made for these companies by groups of people, the major stockholders. And the only thing that those guys can agree on is making more money. If anybody were to try and say, you know, I think that it's actually wrong to do this, then they would lose their say in the company. And they've come to believe that it's somehow justifiable to take things from people who need them, or to make other people's lives harder to make their lives seem easier. That's social momentum. That idea that making other people's lives harder for your own benefit is justifiable. Because all these different companies, banks, insurance, cell phone, you name it. They have policies that are unfair, that take money from people and take resources from people even though they don't deserve it. And it's because the people think that they're benefiting themselves. But since everybody is doing that to each other, even on small scales, just individuals are doing that to each other, what it's doing is it's contributing to a downward spiral, a downwards trend of the quality of life on Earth and even the possibility of life on Earth. And it's all for the sake of what we value, because our values motivate our actions. I think that we should be creating abundance. And I know, from my experience, I don't know anything, but from my experience, which is extensive, which is focused entirely on nothing but this for years, I know that we have everything and more that we need to create the kind of lives that are better than we've ever dreamed of. We have all of that. A lot of people think that this downwards trend will fix itself. But if we have everything we need to fix it for ourselves, then we're being lazy brats if we don't use what we have to create what we want. Satisfaction is what we all want. And I've seen and experienced that satisfaction is easier when there's abundance. So, abundanceforpeace.com is my way of offering not just one, but many ways that we can turn this downward spiral into an upward spiral, many upward spirals, all gaining momentum. And these videos on the homepage of abundanceforpeace.com, they explain the most important things for doing that. And then the rest of abundanceforpeace.com is everything else and more. For you, because I love you.